Good evening, skippers. This is Ram 55 back with you, presenting another round of Virtual Skipper 5. Today is round 10, the United States versus China. Coming into today's match racing, the United States tops the fleet with an overall record of 8 wins and 1 loss, while China has 2 wins and 7 losses. Comparing the two boats and crews, you can see that the United States has a significant advantage in sails and a slight advantage in crew. Well, let's get to the water. So the weather is sunny. The wind is out of the west at force 5. It's shifty. We got a low tide. Again, we're sailing out of Rio de Janeiro. Looks like we've got some ideal sailing conditions. So the first thing we do is hoist our jib and sail directly toward the start-finish line. As always, the boats are deposited on the race course side. We have to sail across the line to get on the pre-start side. We have to do that before the counter counts down to 2 minutes, which you can see on the dashboard in the lower left. Once we get across that line, that yellow arrow disappears, and now we just maneuver our boats, trying to get into a real good position, perhaps a position of advantage on our opponents. I'm going to call up the race course, and you can see the starting line in the middle there, the green line. We go to the first mark, back through the gate around the second mark, third mark, and then it's a downwind dash toward the finish line, which was that red line. Right now I'm just tailing the crew from China, and these boats are Melges 24s. They're a one design international sailboat fleet. Everybody has the exact same boat, but how you trim the sails, how you clean the boat, how you prepare your crew makes the difference. That catamaran off to the right there is the committee boat. That forms one side of the start-finish line, and off in the distance, just to the right of the Chinese boat there, you can see a green marker. That is the other end of the start-finish line. We have to stay on the pre-start side until the countdown reaches 0, and then the race is on. The flags on the right are the preparatory flags that would be hoisted on the committee boat, telling the crews on the boats that you are now within 2 minutes of the a couple minutes of the start, and it's time to get ready to position your boats in the best way possible to get a good start. Now right here I'm just deciding, well, how best I want to do this. I was following the Chinese boat around, but I decided I'm just going to run my own race. I'm going to head back toward the committee boat, get up close to the line, tack back around. So right now I'm on port tack. I want to start on a starboard tack, which is position advantage. Starboard tack boats have the right of way over port tack boats. And I want to sail down this line, hopefully with a good head of steam. Now we got 2 seconds to go, and I kind of blew the start there a little bit. You can see China is across the start-finish line, and we're about 3.14 seconds behind. So kudos to China for getting a good start, and you can see at our first crossing they are significantly ahead of us. Now boats will start maneuvering all over the water, and it's really hard to keep track of who's ahead and who's behind. And when you cross like this, that's when you can really tell who has the advantage. Right here I'm not paying attention. You can see the wind arrow turn blue, so I should be turning my boat to the right or to starboard so I can get closer to the first buoy, and I'm just losing that time to the Chinese boat by not paying attention there. Also, you've noticed up on the top right, I've called up another screen there, and that is showing the Chinese boat and their advantage over me at the start of 3.14 seconds, but it's also showing the rules as they apply. Right now you can see a 12 up there. 12, Rule 12 in the yachting rules says these are two boats on the same tack with no overlap. And as you can see, both the Chinese boat and my boat are on port tacks. We are not overlapped. Chinese boat is clear ahead. So Rule 12 applies. Since the Chinese boat is red on that little map on the bottom left, that tells me that he has the right of way. We're both on the port tack. He's the boat ahead. The boat ahead in this situation has the right of way. And you'll see those numbers change throughout this match race as the rules change. Now, as we both go to starboard tack, you'll see that the rule becomes number 11. Same tack, or I'm sorry, it'll be, if we have overlap, it'll be rule number 11, same tack with an overlap. And if we're on opposite tacks, it's rule 10. So right now I'm just trying to sail my boat as fast as possible, using the advantage slight advantage I have in the crew and the significant advantage I have in sails to outsail the Chinese boat and overcome the lead that they had right off the start. Trying to pay close attention to the wind shifts, because when you're behind you want to get all the advantages you can to make up some time on the boats that are ahead of you. Now you can see the Chinese boat tacked. Rule 13 applies. Once he's established on that tack, Rule 10 and 15 apply. You can see that we're a little bit closer. He only had a few feet as we crossed that time, as opposed to several boat lengths. So Rule 15 is General Limitations Part B of the sailing rules, and it refers to boats acquiring the right of way. So as the Chinese boat tacked from a port tack to a starboard tack, he acquired the right of way. However, while he's doing that, until he's established on that tack, he has to give me the opportunity to avoid him if he has the right of way, which he did. And then 10 and 15 apply to boats on the opposite tack, and the Chinese boat was on starboard tack, I was on the port tack. That gives him the right of way, because he's on the starboard tack. But again, 15 also applied, acquiring the right of way. You have to give me room to maneuver around him, which he gave me plenty of time to do. So now we're both on the starboard tack, and I tried to delay my turn toward the first mark long enough, because I thought he attacked a little bit early, which he did. I tried to delay my turn long enough so that I could fetch the mark on this tack without having to turn again. Every time you turn, you pass the nose of your boat through the wind. It slows the boat down. It takes time, and you lose time by tacking. If I could have done this on just one tack, perhaps I would have been able to take the lead going into the first mark. Now, approaching this first mark, I can tell that neither one of us can make it. We're both going to have to tack twice. We have to tack to the right, go on port tack, and then we have to go back onto starboard tack to get around that mark. And I'm hoping or thinking that maybe I can push the Chinese boat past the mark. So, okay, he might not be able to make it. I'm going to go ahead and tack so I can make the mark. So I am now going over onto port tack. Chinese boat, you can see down on the map on the left, follows suit very quickly afterwards. So we're both on port tack approaching the mark. Now we don't have overlap. We're inside the 2 boat length ring. I'm switching over to starboard tack. Now watch what happens. 10 and 15 are the rules that apply. Bang, he hits me, and you can immediately see that my boat gets a 360-degree penalty which I thought I was doing right there, but didn't count it. So rule 10, our boats on opposite tack. I was on starboard, he was on port. That gives me the right of way. I thought I gave him plenty of opportunity to go behind me and miss me, according to this computer simulation. They said rule 15 applied, and that's the boat acquiring right of way has to give the other boat room to maneuver. I thought I did. I was established on starboard tack, he was established on port tack. He could easily have swung around my boat, but they didn't agree with that, and they gave me a penalty. So a little rules infringement at the first mark. No damage done. I still have to serve my penalty, but right now I don't want to do that with the spinnaker up. It would take too much time to do it. 360 degree turn, drop the spinnaker, tack, come back around, raise the spinnaker. So I'm going to wait until we get down to the first mark. But now I'm really counting on my sails and my crew to outsail the Chinese crew, and you can see that we have kind of scooted right past him here, strictly on the basis of having better sails. Now again, you can see that I still have a penalty to serve. Rule 12 applies, which means same tack. No overlap is established. I'm well ahead of the Chinese boat at this time. Now that I'm ahead, I'm in a position where I can actually control the race. I can kind of help dictate where the Chinese boat goes. Now I'm making a beeline, in other words, a direct line for the mark, thinking, okay, I've got a big enough advantage. I just want to sail directly toward the mark. He's sailing off in the distance, a much farther distance to sail, but he's staying on the fastest point of sail, and you can see my wind arrow is blue. That means my boat's not going its optimum speed, but I'm going a shorter distance. Now you'll see in a moment that it's not always best to sail directly toward the mark, so I'm dropping my spinnaker a little bit early so that as I round the mark, I'm ready to get right on the correct heading toward the next mark. But watch this. The Chinese boat comes in with lots more speed than me, rounds the mark perfectly, and he closed up quite a bit of distance. And he did that because he was sailing on the correct heading to optimize his speed. Now I'm taking care of my penalty. And now my penalty is taken care of. We're both on the same tack. And now look to see what rule applies. It's rule 11. Boats on the same tack with an overlap. And as you can see, there is overlap of our boats. If you draw a line from the nose of the Chinese boat, it intersects my boat, so there is an overlap. But now I'm sailing ahead of him, and you just saw the rules change to 12 and 15. Rule 12, remember, is same tack but no overlap, so that's a different set of rules that apply. While we were overlapped, the leeward boat has the right-of-way, so I had to steer clear of him. Once I sailed in front of him, now I have the right-of-way and he has to steer clear of me. So now I'm just using my better sails and my better crew to outsail my opponent toward the last mark. We'll turn left, and it'll be a downwind run to the finish line. So we had a good rounding of the mark there, and we are almost 8 seconds ahead of the boat from China. From here on in, unless I make a major blunder, it should be a fairly easy victory. Lesson learned here, it's not always best to sail the shortest course to the next mark. You want to trim your sails and your angle to the wind to give you the best boat speed. A lot of times it's actually quicker to do that than sail the shortest distance. So right now I'm exercising another unwritten rule of match racing, and that's keep yourself between your opponent and the next mark. As long as you do that, he can't sail through you to get there. But again, as I said, unless I make a major blunder, we should have this race in the bag. Here we are approaching the finish line with a sizable victory after a couple blunders at my part, hoping to get some rule infringements on the Chinese boat, but it backfired and I had the penalty. But we still win fairly easily, and that's based on better crew and better sails. So after round 10, Germany, Brazil, Spain, United States, New Zealand, and Italy are all winners. Significant match was New Zealand and Switzerland. They are now tied for second place in the overall standings. And in this round-robin series, the top 4 boats go into a playoff series. So the United States sits on top with 18 points, 9 victories and a loss. New Zealand beat Switzerland, so that was an important matchup in today's racing. They're tied for second. And then there's a 3-way tie for 4th place between Spain, Italy, and Austria. Spain beat Austria, so that was a significant victory for them today. And it's all going down to the last race to determine the top 4 boats that go on to the playoffs. So we hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something about the racing rules. We'll be back with round 11 soon. And we'll see you on the water. Please post comments if you feel like it. And once again, thanks for watching.